Hey everyone, I'm Mindy McKnight, and you guys all know Sean.
Hey guys.
And we are here today to have another real talk with you guys all about, Sean's gonna tell us.
All about the YouTube comment controversy that's been going on recently, as well as the
Momo challenge.
The Momo challenge, which isn't new.
Everyone's hearing about
it's not
that.
new. And what we can do as responsible parents in these situations.
Okay, so first let's just talk briefly about what's happening right now on YouTube and why. So what's happening right now with YouTube and the press is that some bad actors, some bad people on the internet space have been using comments within videos to leave predatory comments towards children.
Yeah, videos with minors in them.
Yes. As a response to this, the brands found out about this happening and immediately pulled their money away from YouTube because they didn't want to be advertising against videos that even had bad comments. YouTube has now shut down commenting on the vast majority of minors' content.
I was okay with it because I understand what YouTube was trying to do. It was a little bit of an overreaction to say every kid's video out there is going to have the comments shut off. But I get, stop the bleeding, fix the problem, then turn it back on. I understand that.
And then what YouTube is doing is creating basically like a whitelist, which means like a safe list. And as they verify certain creators or families like ours, for example, that they know will moderate their comments very carefully and keep an eye on it, they're moving you over to the safe list and then you get your comments back. Yeah, I think the important thing is that we just wanted to really reiterate who's responsible for what's been going on lately with YouTube, and it's kind of a shared responsibility. And Sean and I have talked about this a ton.
Over the past week or so.
Yeah, and we really feel like it boils down to 4 people that all share equal responsibilities. So we're gonna go through them.
And there's no ranking order.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean, there's one that's obviously more important we'll talk about, but the first one we want to talk about is the advertisers, the ones who were notified by the video on YouTube about this going on and pulled their ads from YouTube as a whole because of the predatory comments that were being found in the comment section.
And for those of you that aren't super familiar with the way this works, if the brands pull their ads off YouTube, YouTube panics because that's what pays their bills, also what pays creators like us.
Yeah.
So that's a really big deal.
And what we want to talk about there specifically is advertisers have tools on YouTube that YouTube has created that allow them to classify the types of videos, the categories the videos fall in, upon which their videos may show. And I don't think a lot of advertisers understand that that tool exists. For example, they can put their ads against Google Preferred, which is a vetted grouping of YouTube creators whose content has been good for so long, they're considered benign when it comes to safety, particularly child safety, to where most advertisers, if not all, would be okay putting their content there. Or if they choose, they can say, I could put my ads only on videos and how to in style. The chances of a minor being in a compromising situation in a video on how to in style might be very, very low. So there are ways that I, as an advertiser, may be able to classify down to the type of video I want my ad on and have avoided a lot of this controversy.
So the next group that we feel like is partially responsible in this whole problem is YouTube.
Of course.
Of course. YouTube is responsible in the sense that they've given you this source that they're calling YouTube Kids, which you kind of assume then it's going to be safe for kids. But then they're not being as proactive as maybe they need to be in making sure that that area stays clean and safe for children.
YouTube is very proactive when it comes to this. It's just impossible to discover the evil we don't know. If somebody is leaving comments that use pretty explicit terminology, YouTube can upload a database of that terminology and find those people, root them out, ban their accounts, turn over to the police very, very easily. I can confirm that YouTube has been doing this. I've been involved in conversations with the mother. This isn't new. YouTube has been going after them. The problem was that the predators that were leaving these comments figured out YouTube was doing that, so they started talking in code. Things that the AI would not be able to discover. Which
then the algorithm doesn't pick it up, the AI doesn't pick it up, so it doesn't filter those things. Also, it's important to remember, you guys, that YouTube is a user-generated platform. It's not like Disney, where Disney makes all its own content, so it knows exactly what's going up on the platform. And the awesome thing is that you can make a video right now, or we can make this video right now and put it up and you guys are gonna see it. The downside to that is anybody can make any kind of content and put it up, and potentially it's a problem that YouTube gets 500,000
hours a day of
uploaded content. And that's an almost impossible ask to think about going through all of that. So it's crazy how difficult that ask could be, which is why we thus see YouTube being, in this situation, very reactive to the situation when perhaps they were trying to be proactive but couldn't fully accomplish that.
I feel like YouTube's responsibility is to make it as safe of a platform as possible. It's impossible to be 100% safe because it is a user-generated content platform. And that's something really good for all of us. But I do feel like YouTube could spend a little bit more time on this category as opposed to maybe, you know, how do I get more watch time on the channel? That's really important for shareholders. They want a return on their investment. But if advertisers pull their money out, shareholders don't get any return on their investment. So I think YouTube needs to kind of prioritize a little bit.
So the next group of people that we feel like is partially responsible for the current problem is the content creators themselves. People leaving bad comments inside videos, which isn't related to the content creators. The last Kidpocalypse was in response to parents maybe filming their kids in questionable situations like where their kids are like in costume and tied up, and it just doesn't look good, and so it presents a bad play on kids and the internet.
Or it was completely benign, where there were parents that were just taking video of their kids in a gymnastics meet, but these pedophiles would freeze frame on the part where they were doing the splits in the air and saying, you know, check out this frame here. I think we as creators need to be aware that exists, and so when we film these videos, we may be able to edit some of those things out.
Or not film them, or potentially just bear in mind that this situation does exist, and so we need to be more conscientious of the content that we create and the content that we make and show. Yeah. And I think the last group, and this is the one I think we wanted to focus on the most, was the fourth group that's responsible, and probably honestly the most important one. Is parents.
Us as parents.
Yes, us as parents, you guys as parents, like your parents, your whatever. Ultimately, when you put your child in front of YouTube, you're putting them in front of a platform and you're giving them access to all of that information and all of that content.
And we're putting our trust that a machine is going to weed out the stuff we don't want our kids to see. Like Minnie said, there's an inherent trust that if it says YouTube Kids on it, that YouTube is going to make sure everything on there is appropriate for kids. And for the very vast amount of the videos on there, that's absolutely true, but things are going to slip through, and they have. But we as parents cannot trust the fact that anything that comes in on a device is going to be 100% safe.
I mean, we're talking specifically right now about YouTube because that's the one we're the most familiar with, and it's the current one that's popped. But that goes for any social media platform anywhere on the internet. I mean, it could be Facebook, it could be Netflix, it could be Amazon Prime. I mean, you take your pick on content creation and your child in that area and that arena, and you need to be involved on it as a parent. You need to be there too and being involved in that conversation.
Mindy's written a book called Viral Parenting where we talk about things like this. Like, we as parents, if we are going to have children online, we need to what?
Be a parent online.
We have to be a parent online. And last night she did an Instagram story where she came up with a tip that might be helpful for you as parents on how to get your kids to still watch safe content on YouTube.
Well, it's just kind of a workaround, but the simple way is to just make a playlist under your own account and then put videos that you've watched and know are safe into those playlists, and then only allow your children to watch videos that are in one of your said playlists. So it kind of protects your kids from stumbling onto things that you might not want them to be onto just because it keeps them into one area of YouTube. So that's what's happening from a creator standpoint. Obviously from a parent standpoint, you don't want your kids stumbling across those comments either. And so I think that's why you've seen this huge reaction. Likewise, we've also bumped in recently to this crazy Momo challenge. What's funny to me is that it's totally not new. I talked about this on my stories earlier. Mostly it's actually a giant hoax. It's a statue, a Japanese statue that picture started from.
It's a sculpture.
Yeah, sculpture, yes. Now it's like almost like a viral ghost story, sort of. And then other people were taking that picture and like stealing people's content, and they would have like Peppa Pig at the beginning and then pop up the Momo video like picture and then put Peppa Pig at the end.
It's not new, it's been in the press. It was about 8 months to a year ago where the Momo challenge came up, and if you think of it, it was like, you know, when we started using email, there'd be these email chains where it was like, if you don't share this with 10 people, something bad will happen to you.
Right. Obviously, as parents, again, we want to be having those conversations with our kids because the Momo challenge isn't new, and sooner or later there's going to be the next Momo challenge. And the best thing you can be doing is having conversations with your kids constantly and constantly being involved in what they are doing online and where they are, what they're watching, what they're seeing.
And I think the last thing we want to talk about is, along with those lines, is, you know, how to be a responsible parent in these situations. I want to be clear, the internet is a predominantly very useful, effective tool for us to use. Ignoring that it's there would be a huge detriment to us and our families going forward. We have to acknowledge the good in it. but we need to be careful because along with the good will always be bad. So our recommendation to you would be what we've done with our own kids, is sit down and talk with them about the recent situations that you're seeing in the press. And that way they can understand you're concerned as a parent, but you're not gonna just jerk the internet away from them.
Ultimately, it's just having open conversations, but there are some things too, like simple tools that parents can do, like keeping digital technology in open spaces in your home. Or if your kids are on social media, you be where they are on social media and follow their accounts so you can see some of what they're seeing. And there's definitely some tips and tricks that are more useful, and I talk about these in my book, which I'll link in the description box below. But if you don't want to do it using the tips in my book, find another reference or another resource. There's plenty of them on the internet. I'm great friends with multiple people talking about this same conversation. Please, please, please don't just stick your head in the sand and be the parent that's like, down with the internet, I'm never using it again, because that's foolhardy as well. Okay, you guys, we're out of here. We're done. Hope you enjoyed this real talk.
It was just a quick 10-15 minutes here we had, and we thought we'd at least address the issue with you.
Okay, until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.